Ka-chow. Alright. Dial this back. About here is probably okay. Yeah, I think that's probably okay. Oh, I feel like I don't know what the heck to do. There we go. Zoom. Good morning, chili dogs. What you focus on grows. Feed them horses. Today, I'm going to be making some more water whistle bases. Nothing too crazy. I'm just going to kind of mule through that. I got to use it today, and it worked. That's pretty crazy. I feel like usually when I try to do like little instrument things, they don't really work out how I want them to. So today, that's a good plus, but I don't have that one with me today, so you guys won't be able to hear that, but I'll bring them in as I finish them. Anyway, see you guys over there in a second. Ka-chow. Desk. Camera B. Alright, so you can see I got a big thing of clay right here. Actually have a bunch of these little, I can do with that later, but we do have this giant chunk of clay here. We will be cutting this in half. Where's my wire tool? Here it is. So I'm making these water whistles. I'll split it into fourths. My hair's touching the light above me. And I would say we'll cut it in half. Maybe about here. And we'll rip that off. So then we have a different section here, and then I'm going to cut that section in half. And then I'll have, how many pieces is this total now? I know you guys can't really see what the heck's going on. But you can see, like here, I got medium chunks, 4, and then maybe I'll take one of these, stack these. So I got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. I got 5 things. So you can get 5 water whistles from one chunk, right? And then I'll make I don't even know if I'll make the other things, like the tubes connecting, will be different. I know it's kind of hard to understand because you guys don't really know what I'm making. But if you've seen, I think I made some not too long ago and I posted about those. But again, we're just kind of wedging this stuff up. We're going to start with the larger stuff, and then we'll do the cone in vessels afterwards. But here we go. There's 2. We'll just start with this. So we'll go over to camera A. Camera A. Wink. There we go. We got all this clay here, so why not grab all this junk, right? Grab all this junk and put it away. By put it away, I mean put it in a little reclaim bucket to not be reclaimed for ages. Some new water. Hop on over here. And let's start. Also, one thing that I would say that I can do, I wish I would have done this before. There's a lot of like trimmings, because I was doing some trimming. So let's just take these things off and just dispose of the trimmings. Shelf, camera B, so you can kind of see. I have those other ones in that, oh, I wish I didn't just clump it right in there. Whatever. Get this. I feel like I'm trying to perform a little bit too hard right now. Just gotta chill. Okay. Camera A. I did kind of scoot that over a little bit, but I hope that's okay. And I'm just trying to clean out all these trimmings because, well, why don't I get it out now? So then it makes it so I don't have to clean up as much. Like that. There we go. Yeah. This thing's all full of junk now, so I'm gonna move this over here. So this is something, again, I should have done before I started. But why not just get it done now? Save me some time later. This little power cord, I need to get that out of the way. There we go. Where's this? This is gonna be the base. It's just gonna be like a really simple vase shape. There's not too much. They're not really that complex, to be honest. Zoom. Again. Hammer fist right on top. Down. Close in. Camera B. Okay. Doesn't that feel a little bit off? a little frustrating. Camera A? Yeah, okay, that's okay. Yeah, I like that. Close in. Camera B. I wish this wasn't as... You see how it's tilted this way more? I wish it was more centered, but this is fine. Okay, again, my fist right over top. Walking that out to the edge there. One thumb, allowing that interior. Get some water, fill that pond. Down to that base. Open this up. Slowly cut across the base there. Smooth out. Make sure you don't go too thin, right? But we want to go thin enough because we're not wanting to trim these. We just want to go thin enough that they're gonna turn out okay. If we accidentally have to flatten it or something, we'll trim. Okay. I'm using my little llama pole here. Hello, llama pole's gonna bite around this rim. I'm just gonna cover my hand's gonna cover here, so we'll swap over to zoom. See, I'm pulling one back and one forward. Next to those coming across, that's really going to get it to be that volcano there. Camera B. Okay. And on that inside, access this bottom corner here. And this first pull, we're really not trying to do too much with it other than just slowly even out these walls. A little taper, that rim, but that's totally chill. Again, trying to get this to be more of a cylinder shape. How much is my sponge just like ripping off? Yeah, my sponge is like literally just falling apart. Where should I set this? Somewhere over there, maybe. That works. Again, right underneath. Slowly dish out that right over top. Slow down the pressure. Okay. So now we're going to start to do some cool shaping with this, right? I'm going to start from this middle. Okay. I'm going to top in just a little bit. Just train it a tad. I know it kind of sunk that down, but we'll fix that here in a second with this next pole. That whole entire thing that we just did there is just trying to start that shape. And so now it has more of that normal vase shape belly. Maybe I'll go down there. And I'd actually say, if I'm thinking about this, probably a little bit too thin on the belly there. A little unfortunate. So the more I bring in this top, the more I'm compromising that shoulder structure. So that's something I gotta be aware of. get up underneath that shoulder, else I'm going to just keep on ruining this. Yeah, this one's not going to work out, guys. That's okay. Let's see when I cut this, I'm just too thin on the shoulder. So if we look at this, you see I'm just getting too thin right here. And so I try to do too much too quickly. It's okay. Desk. Here. Take this. I'm gonna take this chunk here. I want to just kind of smash that flat. Okay. Camera A. This time we're going to be a little bit more cautious on what we do. We're spending too much time in that shape. We should have gone thicker on that shoulder. Open that up. Smooth that base. Close in. Camera B. Hands coming across. So you can see that that is literally coming across each other. And that's what's bringing that together. Open this up. Zoom. Right here down to the bottom. Trying to make sure we're walking that clay in. Okay. Down to the bottom there. Camera B. So again, we're going to create the belly of the vessel here. So I'm going to start by pushing out. Alright. I'm in a lot better position here now. We're going to go back in with this bottom part. So you have that bottom section kind of honed in. Again, we're always trying to be kind of considerate about that bottom corner. It's usually where that clay is going to build up. So trying to use that rib tool as a way to get rid of that right now is always going to be kind of helpful for us later on. Again, so another problem I'm having right now is that my water is not really water, it's really a lot of wet clay. So now it's really hard for me to get the wetness, the water on the inside, because it's just slips, so it doesn't want to actually get absorbed into the sponge. So that's a problem. I guess I shouldn't find this again because my finger kind of knocked into it a couple times. Okay. Take this top in. Start right above that shoulder. First thing is you're walking it in. Right. Now start pulling that up. Always maintaining the bump throughout the whole entire process. Right? And as you're bringing things closer together, you're going to start seeing some more of the inconsistencies. What do you want to do with this? Still got a little bit more to go out on the top here. My finger's a little bit more wet. And we'll start to bring this out. Gotta be careful because we got this cool little yo-yo looking top. Kind of has this inflated belly. Thankfully it didn't only collapse on the top and not all the way down into the vessel. But I'm kind of liking this, how this is going to look, right? So this is one side of the chamber here. Maybe down at the bottom. My wooden knife tool to cut across this bottom edge. And imagine the thickness of our wall, right? If we're looking at it, we're going to be driving into this way here, right? So if we are going down, imagine the thickness of our piece only goes down to maybe the depth of my finger, right? And so once you get past here, you can start tilting the tool over and driving that in. And that can remove a lot of that extra thickness that we don't really think about after we're done throwing a vessel, right? So, again, go down, and watch me tilt that tool in. So you can see once I remove this, we kind of have a little wedge going in it. You can get rid of a lot of extra clay. So that's what we'll do. Oh, if you get the right tool, or if you put water on here, then you don't have to worry about this stuff feeding back up into your vessel. You'll see people do it in one little swift, but I'm just using my wooden knife tool, but you can get one that's hooked, and that can really help you out so it doesn't get recombined back into the thing. But I'm gonna go right over here. Again, kind of refining that edge. And you kind of want to be slow and really direct with the pressure that you're putting on there. Because if you have a lot of surface area, it's going to end up pushing this whole wall in. And you don't want to push, you really want to cut. Right? So as long as you're cutting, you're in a good spot. Okay. Really take off as much of that as you can. Looks good to me. Sweet. Okay. Now, we're going to add some lines. Maybe we'll do one up here. One right below the hip of the pot. And one towards the bottom of the pot. Remember, think about cutting the clay, not pushing it. I think that looks pretty good to me. Do that just like that. Okay. So there's one. One of those pots is done. So the weight feels okay. Again, this is the base of it, right? And so then there's a tube that's going to connect and attach to the base. Alright. Wheel. So they're going to go over there for a little bit. We got to start getting ready to wedge some more chunks of clay. So I should probably rinse my hands off. Okay. And we kind of just want to get as much of the water off of us as we can. We're going to go over to desk. So we have this here. We're going to wedge this one up. Get these guys out of the way. Come on. So we can go here, and we're just going to wedge this up real quick. You know, nothing crazy. Just right out of the bag clay, so we don't really need to worry about that. Camera A. Okay, and what do we want to get rid of this stuff first too? Because there's not a lot of Zoom. 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 There we go. Alrighty. Right at the bottom. Bring this up. You're gonna go down. Curve this up. This up. Down. Catch it. Bring it up. How's the foot? My foot's good now. I'm in a good spot. I needed just a couple more days of healing. On this top edge. Nice. Thumbs in. Create that pond. Sometimes I'll swap over to 2 fingers and my thumb. And, you know, it's like almost making a wedge with my fingers. When I start to hook my fingers, I'll pull this back. I think that looks pretty good. Make sure I smooth out that base. I can sense that there's some uneven spots, you know? So we're gonna just open this up and bring this down just a little bit so we can have some more access to that interior. Swap over to close in. Camera B. Okay. So if you're first looking at this, what are you noticing? It's not perfectly centered, right? I'm actually a little bit uneven in this bottom. But are we freaked out about that? Not really. Because through our pulling up of our walls, right, we recenter a lot of that clay. Anything that we don't want to work off with, we can separate it off the vessel later. You know, I think sometimes people get really caught up on getting their piece like perfectly centered when in most cases I think most people actually could just spend more time working on the polling than the centering. You can fix a lot of stuff from just the polling up of a vessel. Bring that in. Get it right over here. I'm gonna bring this right underneath. Maybe like, yeah, maybe right underneath here. And again, I'm gonna try to get some of that clay down. And I'm thin here, so we don't want to go too crazy to find that little bump there. Really feel out the clay. What does it want me to do? There's no tension there? Okay, I'll go that way, right? Think about it, it's really like it's trying to talk to you, right? And so you gotta listen to it. Alright, and I'll bring this up and in. Nice. Right off that top. Okay. If we're trying to make a vessel that has a belly on it, you know, we're going to take off that off-center stuff, and you see I'm going down with it, and then I'll slowly bring that up, just to start it off, right? So I've dished off some of this extra clay at that bottom, because I don't even work with it. So that's probably the rest of that off-centered stuff. Or not the rest of it, well, some of it, right? Again, I'm going to be right at the bottom, I'm going to start pulling out. See how the hand on the inside is below the hand on the outside, right? Isn't it such a shame that you guys aren't more tilted over? Let's see if this fixes anything. No? Come on, get back. Like, I want it almost to be like there. Yeah, like, okay. Come on. Maybe like that. I think this would be way better, guys. That way you guys can really see more of what this bump is doing. Like, I think that's more important, really, for that camera view or that angle. Like, I want you to really see that bump. Okay. Anyway, we got a lot of water on the inside, because you know me, I'm always using a lot of water. You'd think my skin would be so much nicer, because I'm like always having these mud baths. Usually it's just dry. Okay. Right on this edge. Walk that up slowly. Just to define that a little bit. Now we're going to go back down to the bottom of our vessel. We're going to say hello. Right down to that corner there. Slowly walk this up the side of our vessel. Nothing too crazy. Rich. The shoulder of the object kind of has this like almost canister look to it. Right, like I almost imagine this would be like packaging for coffee grounds. Right over here on this edge. Hug that shoulder. Walk that in. Again, we'll probably walk this in a little bit more here as well. Okay. Hook my finger, so my finger's on the other side here. I'm kind of having a little bit of a compression. I'm slowly trying to feed my finger underneath there. You can see how I'm slowly walking it in. Give you a nice vase shape. Again, as you're bringing stuff inward, all that inconsistencies of our throwing is going to be reflected to the top, right? So if you notice that your pot is a little bit off, you might call it sooner, just so you don't keep exaggerating anything on that top. Again, I'll probably call this in just a tad. Okay. Again, right in this shoulder here, hanging out down here, slowly walking that in. Right. Okay, so let's do a weird tree twist on this top. Also, I have this hair that literally is going to act as a wire tool on there. Okay. So you gotta be kind of careful when you're doing this, because it's going to want to twist up here. But you can see I'm trying to feed that, work that up. So then when I make this twist, you'll see. And allow that to go outwards, right? Wind that up just a tad. I feel like if we bring this back up and in, this could even look better. I want it to look like you're supposed to pour something on that interior there. So it's almost like we're making a baby tree on the top there. The top is a little bit too rounded. Yes. Top is a little bit too rounded. So I'll let this kind of smoother for a second, but look at this. I think I'm liking how that's looking. Okay, now we're going to do some finishing touches on this. I'm going to be right over here. And I'm going to touch the edge of this real quick. I'm going to do two. I'm going to do one right under here. And if you want, you know what? We have some looseness on that top, so let's get some looseness on the belly here. Something just as simple as that, right? Just so subtle, right? It's like a ghost. But I feel like that looks good to me. Try pouring water out of these kind of vessels that have volume and also the tree on the top. Flow well, or is it turbulent? Well, these, they're not really meant for, like when I call them water whistles, you know, nothing's like being poured out, really, you know. The most important part is going to be the way that this is attached to another vessel, right? So, they're a little bit wonky to make a little bit differently. And so, them being not meant for pouring, you can kind of get away with a lot of different shapes. But it's never really about function for this stuff. It's a different kind of function. Does it whistle? Yeah. Okay. There we go. This vessel is going to be a whistle. Yep. So this is a chamber for the whistle, right? So it's two chambers, and these chambers, when water's moving from one chamber to the other, it's pushing air around, right? And that's going to cause either you can get glug jugs because there's nowhere for that airflow to go. Finally, the water will burst through the water tension, or the air will burst through the water tension and create like a glug, where if you make a hole, then all of a sudden the air does have an escape. And so then what you do with that is you use it to push air through a whistle. So a whistle is attached to these. Yeah, I mean, they won't look like it until the really end. I don't think they ever really look like whistles, to be honest. They just do. They just do the whistle. It appears that we gotta get this down, this underneath. I think that looks okay. Right? Yeah, I'll give it. That's enough. So that'll be number 2. Wheel? Am I still watching? Yes, I am. Come on, YouTube. Can't you hear me? I mean, you look at it here, I'll show you, you've seen my whistles before, but essentially, you're gonna have two of those whistles, or two of those chambers, right? And then you're gonna have one of these whistles, you know, space, okay. So you're gonna see, you're gonna have like one of these whistles, so chamber one, right? That's what we just threw. We're gonna make a second chamber with no top or no air to get out, right? And then there's gonna be a tube connecting the two chambers. Water goes from one to the other. Air has nowhere to go because there's no hole. So what can happen is that air is going to eventually beat the surface tension of the water and glug out of the first chamber, right? Or if you put a hole in the second chamber and then you put your whistle where that is, so then when the air is resisting the water tension, it's actually just going to go right through that hole into the whistle, right? And so that's really how it works. It was cool during my class today. One of them got unloaded and we got to try it out. And it just worked perfectly. I was really pumped up about it, actually. That's how it works. So I assume the bigger vessel will make the lower tone. No, actually the whole tone and the structure of the tone all comes from the whistle that you attach to it. So they're actually separate. So the size you make is really only reflective on how long you want the thing to whistle for before you have to walk that chamber back towards you, right? Camera A? Is this on there? I guess so. Yeah, like you walk it forward, you hold it almost like a leash for like a dog or something, right? And if you want to walk it forward, you just tilt it, or you can walk it back, and so that's going to change where the water's in either the front or the back, right? Yeah, I guess people don't normally say this is like walking motion, but that's how I imagine it, is like you're walking a dog, you know? I guess you could just say tilted. It probably makes more sense, to be honest. So that's close enough. Zoom. What the fuck is this music? I don't know. It had like almost looked like a neon sketch of a house. And so I clicked it. I feel like I'm in the Christmas movie that is a claymation. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like Rudolph and there's the abominable snowman. There's like this claymation fur monster. I feel like this is this music that would be in that sort of movie. Right down to the bottom. Slowly walk fingers underneath. I'm just trying to even out those walls. Remember, we're not trying to get height. We're trying to even out those walls. Scary sci-fi video game. That's probably a good idea, like a zombie video game. Definitely, like, you're in a desolate area. I get that, for sure. right down to the bottom. Okay. I'm just gonna even out this bottom again, just a little bit here. Okay. Right from underneath. Sweet. You kind of see how that works, right, guys? It's a reverse pull. That's how they make those fermenting jars in Korea. Whenever I see people doing the pulls for those, it's similar. Okay. Camera B. Close in. Go out with this. Let's cut some of that clay off the bottom. So I'm just gonna start by getting rid of that. Do I make stuff for myself? Like, I'm never like, I need to make a mug for myself. It's always like, I made a mug for like a group of people or something I had to do, and then I'll take the one, one that's left over that nobody wants, I'll take that one, Like, I never really make things, especially anything that has any defined function. No. I have a bunch of like unglazed plates and bowls and stuff, and I just refuse to glaze it. I don't know what's wrong with me. It seems like a waste sometimes, just because it doesn't really. Sometimes I don't see a purpose in glazing that stuff. It's fine if it just stays like a biscuit. You need a mug. You buy one or make one. I don't think I'd ever. Maybe at the beginning I would have tried to make them, but now I just have so many. I literally, if I need a mug, I'll just like try to find one that's down here that I like, right? Like usually, I just kind of find one. I think when I was first starting, I would try to make stuff for myself. It's thin enough to do conventional. Alright. It's cool. Right underneath this edge. Just lift this up. Start walking it in. So you can see how I just pop that shoulder a little bit more. You'd be surprised, not having it as drastic really helps out with the structural integrity of the vessel. Right? So now we've essentially lifted up our shoulder. Define this bump again. Denote that clay. We're just kind of trying to train that to go in, right? Pottery market I was telling you about had a bunch of merchants selling stuff for the kitchen, like garlic graters, butter holders, and something with a water seal. If you buy something from another potter, you just make it yourself. I feel like I just don't use pottery things that often. So like, I would never need a garlic grater because I never eat garlic or peel garlic. Right? So like, if I need something, it's gotta be something that like I would use that's made, like the only thing would be a mug. So I think like I don't do anything weird or like special. Like a butter holder, I mean I'll just leave the butter out. If I want it to be soft, you know, I'll just leave it out for like an hour. So for me, it's just that I don't think I'm really that interested in pottery. At least like the real use of pottery, right? Like I know people use it in kitchens for like a really long time. So, but alrighty. Really want to get that as thin as possible, so then when I okay, sweet. Again, maybe right here we'll have little maybe we'll actually do two right on the shoulder here. And then again, we'll do something a little bit. Right at the edge, maybe like something like that. And again, I'd say this is okay. Yeah, but the air makes it rancid. Does butter get rancid in like an hour? I don't know, maybe I've just been eating rancid butter. I feel like I don't even use butter that much anyway. Like I would usually just take it right out, like a clump of it, like a frozen clump of it or whatever from the refrigerator and just drop it in. Last one, when the opening was smaller. Yeah, it's because I brought that closer in. And so are you saying that one you like more? This one's a little bit more even on the top, so the last one it kind of got a little bit uneven, so it wasn't as like crisp. Okay. Like this one too, like, you know, I'm not saying I'm gonna trim. I'm not saying I'm gonna trim. I'm just saying that if the top is even, I have the, and maybe wider, I have the opportunity to trim without needing to make a chuck, right? I've just been using a larger vase that's already been fired as a chuck, and it's been driving me crazy. Because I don't have any actual chucks made. And I don't feel like throwing a chuck. Alright. Hammer B. Which view? Oh, wheel. Wheel. Now the opening doesn't change anything about it. The only thing that I like about messing around with the opening is that pouring the water into this can be unique, right? So like, you know, we think about how the rim of an object, like when you put it up to your mouth, right? You want it to be a little bit more fine, right? Not like super jagged or clumpy, right? Because you're thinking about the function of the water leaving the vessel and entering your mouth and also touching your lips, right? Well, water is really only going in, right? And it's not like it needs to like be smooth. It doesn't need to be smooth or anything like that. But I want to make that top almost look like it's a target or something is different, something is purposeful there. So that's why I kind of go a little bit weird with the top. What's a chuck? The wood thing you use to scrape? No, it's like imagine just like a cylinder, and so then if something's narrow, I can just flip it upside down and set it in the cylinder rather than just setting it on that narrow part because it's going to be wobbly, right? And so the chuck kind of sits on the shoulders to hold the vessel so then you can trim it. Okay. Okie dokie here. We got that kind of working out for us. We got 2 more of these to make, and then we need to throw all the other ones. It's about the pouring into the tree openings. Really narrow. It has a big rim. Holds a lot of water, so maybe a vortex forms. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you know, you're probably right. Something like that could happen, but I think I haven't thought about that really. I'm more about the aesthetic of it. But I think it would take a lot of time to really nail in what shape you need to make on that top to make it vortex without like stimulating it to become a vortex. Does that make sense? Like if you take a drill bit in a bucket of water and you spin your drill the direction that the other thing is spinning, you almost create a vortex, right? Like I wonder how something just naturally creates a vortex without having some other stimulant. I guess it would glug though. Like it needs a small hole in the other point probably. Oh, if you're pouring out of this? Yeah, probably. But pouring into it, it's kind of, I just want it to be interesting. Water right on the top. No, for pouring in. If there's too much water, probably. I see what you mean. Hammerfist coming on top. There we go, look at that. Close in. Feels like they're a little bit more even. I'm gonna pop out the base. Okie dokie. Sometimes when I think about doing it this way, right, like, I wonder if cutting it off is actually a good idea on the bottom or not. Sometimes I think maybe you shouldn't cut it off, because maybe you still didn't get it perfectly centered when you push the rest of that clay down, right? And I'm also thinking, well, maybe if you do the bottom right now, maybe do the top as well. But I also think that wouldn't work. So sometimes I get really confused about how to properly adjust the bottom. I wonder if I didn't move it, I cut off that bottom stuff. If this process would go a little bit easier. Right now it feels about the same, but and how that my friend has two stumps for arms since shortly after high school. I don't know why, but I just wondered if he could do pottery. There's a guy on Instagram, I feel like I think he might have, you know, some people will get that thing where they only grow like a thumb and a finger, and they have like a 2 fingers on one, and then he has a stump on his other hand, I think. But he does pottery, and I can imagine obviously having your fingers is ideal, you know, but I've thought about it too, where if somebody has a stump, right, it's round and it's a giant flat surface, right, it's a round surface, right? Part of me thinks that maybe if they threw larger, like really large pots, and they threw thick, their pots would actually be like, almost imagine if you're scaling up a finger. That's what I imagined. But obviously I'm just assuming, I have no idea. But I think, I've thought about it once before actually. It's interesting that you brought that up. It was because I saw that guy on Instagram. I think it's like the one-arm potter or something like that on Instagram. What's up with OBS? Cut out shortly? Okay. Yeah, it was weird. It did cut out. I don't know what happened there. Do you know of any potter using their feet? I've only ever seen people do it more as like an experiment. I don't think I know many people, but for some reason, I feel like there might be a famous dude in India who's done that. I keep thinking the first time I ever saw this type of wheel was in an image or a video online of these group of Indian potters. They grabbed all their here. Let me zoom. They have a giant stone wheel, and they took a stick, and on the outside they start spinning it, and they get it to almost spin like a top. And the heaviness of the wheel keeps that momentum spinning on a single position. I can't remember the video directly, but for some reason I thought I saw a video of a dude using his foot to open the pot. But and then in Korea I've seen something called floor wedging or foot wedging, and when I've seen that done, it's also using your foot, but in a very different way. It's kind of like you're stepping the clay out to wedge it. But those are the only times I've ever seen feet really used in pottery. But if you were to do something like that, I think it would be something really difficult. You have to do it in a very unorthodox way. You probably wouldn't be able to pull up your walls like a normal pole if you were using your feet. I think you'd kind of have to do like what I do during the llama pole, those two hands coming across. I think that's really how it works. We have some spots I'm not totally loving here. So let's make a frame. You know what, I'm not really going to use the sponge. Let's get it a little bit more raw. It's fine if it kind of has some sharp bits. So you see I'm just slowly tilting it. So I get this hair out of here. We're going to go lower too, so watch this. We're going to go down quick. Slow. Catch it. Right on the top there. And maybe this rim. I'm just going to tap it. Yeah, just really subtle. Nothing too crazy, you know. Camera B. Close in. So you guys can kind of take a look at this. So you see being a little bit loose, just very subtly. Right, you still get the impression of the band. right? But you kind of play with that a little bit, and then the rim, see, just little tick marks, tick, 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 just kind of plucking away on it. And I think just something as simple as that changes the vibe of the vessel quite a bit, right? They don't necessarily speak the same visual language as the trees do, right? But I feel like there's like a vibe language that you kind of get a sense of when you kind of look at that, right? What I mean by vibe language, I know that's kind of a weird word, but I imagine the one side of the vessel that has like that more of like a sharp line, and then gets interrupted with the little squiggle on that last piece. For some reason, it reminds me of the same kind of things that happen on the tree forms, right? They're like moments, right? The skirt of the tree form, the trunk of the tree form, or how that top lays. I feel like there's something that's similar about, it's almost like you're drawing with form and then doing a sort of drawing on the surface there, right? Yeah, the tree forms are pretty hype to make, I feel like. Especially these things. You guys aren't even going to get to see how they look like finished. Well, I guess at the end I can show you the ones that I have, so you can get a better sense of it, but they're not going to be finished today. That's another problem. So this is the last one. Water on there. Okay. Push down. A glazed tree. There's one glazed tree in the world. It was because one of my students, they asked, I did a tree demo, and they asked if they could keep the tree, and I said, I don't care, sure, why not? And so they kept the tree, and it was the funniest thing is they made a bird bath out of it, right? And I thought that was kind of funny, and they glazed it. Honestly, after a year of tree content, it would be so satisfying to glaze them. Interesting. My plan is I don't really want to glaze them until I start doing my other first goal with them. And then after I finish that first goal, I want to bisque them, and then I'll think about glazing them maybe in, depends, but maybe in 2 to 3 years they'll probably be glazed. If not that, then I probably won't glaze them until I'm like really old. Then my students glaze more. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I feel like selling the trees is away from the impetus of it. The idea, I mean. I'm gonna go over to camera B. Camera B. Over here. So we're just walking out this corner, right? I'm like, okay, how thin do I want this base to be? I just need a wire tool to fit underneath there, really. So anything else, it doesn't really matter. And then, maybe I do another one that's a little bit more open on the top. We'll see. I'm gonna take this and just make a little spiral. Maybe we'll be able to see the spiral and that'll be a little bit nicer on that interior. I have some of the trophies that I'm going to be glazing here, so they'll be close enough to the trees because there's elements of the trees. You can sense it's starting to buckle there, so gotta be a little bit more careful. So I'm a little bit too crazy with this one, I would say. I'm really thin at that base, so it's a little unfortunate. Probably might not survive this, to be honest, but nonetheless, we must bring this up. There we go. This could be kind of cool. We'll leave this here, but we'll finish this off back in a second. But let's just pull this from this point here. Let's bring it in from this top. So you see how it's almost like two bumps formed now? Space. And I'm going to bring this up and in. Kind of right this little spot here. I'm just slowly walking it in. Right. Again, right on the other side. Slowly walking. Okay, again on the outside. Curl this up. Slowly walk that in. Okay. See, this kind of looks okay like that. And then we gotta start really. Oh, we got that hard stuff. Okay, well, we gotta do this part now. Alright. So I got a little bit too much pressure on the top going down, and you can see it kind of made that bottom wiggle. So we're not really going to worry about that though. Bring down as much as we can towards this bottom edge, because there's nothing we can do about it. I feel like a lot of people would have the urge to want to press and tap on it. I'm not too worried. I'm going to leave that as is, and I can worry about it later. I may even think about framing it, right? But it was too thick here, and I actually didn't get this thin enough, and so, what the hell? What are you talking about? Continue watching. Yeah, I don't know if I like this one, really. We need to do some stuff with the surface here if we want to make this one look cool. To me, it almost looks like a salt and pepper shaker. But you can see where it got off, where it just started to buckle under the weight. So, again. Maybe just actually leave that stuff on that bottom. There's like a weird little fold there. Let's cut through with a line right above. Right above it. So that's, oh, well, you guys couldn't really see it. Close in. I think that, kind of like that this line gets carried up through just random shit. Right? I think right now it's at a, that one was at an okay spot. Okay. So now we're going to start making the secondary chambers for these. Some more water. Okay. So now we need to make closed form shapes. Okay. With a flat top because we're flipping these upside down. Zoom. Close in. Camera B. Right to the bottom. Get up. Get right to the bottom. Push that clay in. Get ready to let this totally in. Get ready right here. Right from the outside. Oopsies. I don't have a needle tool, so I gotta use this. So we take that. Desk. So that's gonna be one of the connectors. So we'll bring that in. Close in. Make sure we bring this. So you can see we're really exact. How this kind of looks. See, make sure that top is flat because that part we close in is now the foot because it's going to go upside down, right? Kind of cool. Okay, so there's one. This one might be a little bit too loud for the neighbors, to be honest. They're pretty a little bit too close. I think that should be way better. I can lower the music a little bit too if you say it's a little bit loud. Okay. That one did feel like it was really loud for a second. Alrighty. You should be able to just see the thing right now, too. I think I don't have that on the screen though, right? Let me, there we go. I remember I figured this out. So there's that, right? You start getting the smaller amounts of clay, like it always ends up throwing me off a little bit. Cut through. Bring this up. Really, really thin on this bottom part. Perhaps a little bit too. The YouTube overlay obstructs the view quite a bit, especially the way you have it set up on your camera angles. The name of the song is hidden behind your channel name, for example. Oh, I see what you mean. I didn't even think about that. It's a good idea. Just kind of curving around with this one. desk. A little connector. We got 2 of them now. We still have this whole thing to bring in. Camera B. Oh yeah. Close in. Close in. Well, there's one right now. I'm gonna the size that I'm working at too is different than what I normally would, right? Because if I say space, space, so this might look like it's really low, but really what I'm trying to capture is up here, right? Like my pots are normally, the tree forms after they're done are probably here. When they're being thrown, the tops of them are probably right about here. And so I feel like you're right, I need to have some more variability, but I don't want to have like only a certain amount of angles that I can choose at a time. I have six different angles I can choose with the gimbal right now. I need to get a different system if I was going to have more. And that also makes me have to remember more phrases and things. So I'm going to leave that just like this. Okay. So again, nice flat top, and this will be flipped upside down. And that's how these are finished. Kind of cool to make these closed top forms. I had a couple more I have to make. Space is fine, showing off stuff. The wheel is not really visible. Yeah, I think I'm not too worried about it. It's like kind of like I switch mid pole, right? So I'm at close in. Close in. Close in's kind of like what's happening on the wheel within like this range, right? Space is that range, right? I guess a little bit shorter. And so it's really just trying to change the focus as I'm doing it, and then hopefully I'll be able to get some as I'm doing mid-pole. I swap, and I would just slowly lift up. And so that's kind of the reason behind that. The two of them. But I'll definitely have to look at the recording of the live after and just kind of see, because I'm sure on every device it might be a little bit different too. Zoom. Zoom. There we go. Like this, I'm wondering if it's too low. Probably, right? But again, this is not really for seeing what my hands are doing as much as it's seeing the general object from a front view, right? Interesting. Because I guess I'd probably see a different view if I was on a different account then. Open this up. I have to get one of my buddies to come over and help me with it if I was to do it in person. I guess I could just do a private stream, but sometimes I like that it just happens live, right? Okay, spiral net interior, great. Bring this up. I didn't know that there's different icons for each level. Like if you're subscribed to somebody, you get a different view than unsubscribed. There we go. What was that? Sounded like something fell. But I gotta just cut off this little top here. guess 2 little scrapes is okay. Do I know the band Kari Kari? I do not know the band Kari Kari. The damaged look? Well, I wouldn't consider these my type of vessels to make. I'm trying to make something that's quick and looks like it is a little bit interesting, but hold on. Camera B. Close in. Because my friends are going to be getting these, and I know that they wouldn't like my normal stuff. And I think people who don't I find that people, when they look at pottery and they're like, dang, that's a nice pot, they always have weird random bullshit going on it, you know. So I gotta put some weird bullshit in the pots. Weird music, weird little things on there. It just feels pottery, right? Doesn't it have the voice of like pottery when you kind of like tap at it and stuff? Use material to press into the clay to texture it. Yeah, some people will just make like a little, like a ring or something and just kind of put it up next to it. But I don't like the use of tools, using them as like a mold of sorts. Like, I want to have it almost as like a line or like something I can draw with. Okay. Alright, and then after this, we got one more and then we finished ones, and I can show you what they're going to look like when you put them together. Also, camera A. Okie dokie. Here we go. Yeah, what is that? We got like an hour and 40 or something? That's what it feels like to me. But I will be doing stuff that's a little bit more random. Before, when I do my trees, it was always around like 40 minutes to an hour. But I got a new camera, so then I can keep this running as long as I like. So I will have days where there's longer ones. If I wanted, I could do an all-day stream. Camera B. Do you enjoy longer lives now that you can do them? No, I think I'm still working on how to stream properly. Right now I'm just not feeling like, when you're doing the trees are more of like a performance, right? Like, here's this activity, this is the thing I do. After I do it so long, there's patterns that are built into it, and so there's always stages, and it's almost like I've created a script, right? The trees are kind of like a script, where when I have longer time and I'm just doing random things, sometimes I don't know what to talk about, but I also know that sometimes it's okay to not talk. I think, especially when you're alone, and I know that there's people watching, you almost have this like impulse to want to just fill space all the time with random nonsense. And sometimes I think I just need to be quiet. So. Right down to the bottom here. This almost looks like an Andrea Dennison pot. So funny. She makes mugs like that look like this, that kind of have this like double bump. She has some really delicate carving. Okay. We will be ruining the shape now. I don't actually miss the llama, as cold as that sounds. Yes, the llama. Yeah, you know, I really do like the llama quite a bit. But I can see how some people would find it annoying. Okay. Close that up. I'm just gonna slowly push this down. The key really is to go slow. Sometimes if you go too fast when pushing this down, you're gonna get a little bubble here, and it's gonna build up on this tool, and it's gonna tilt the whole thing, right? So you wanna go slow enough to where you don't form a bubble. It's really almost like you're cutting the clay into place. I'll put you right on this corner. Again, we're going to slowly aim that down and walk that out to the edge. So you can kind of see how this is looking right now. Kind of interesting, right? Is pottery a mentally taxing thing for you? Or does your mind wander off easily? How does live streaming factor into this? I'm present in what I'm doing, not what I'm thinking, right? I think that's kind of the allure, is that there's kind of this distance between you and your like interior space, because you're so caught up in what your physical space, right, your tangible space is doing. And so does my mind wander off easily? I don't even think my mind is existing when I'm doing the wheel stuff. I think I'm just so clocked in to what my hands are doing. It's like you're thinking through action rather than thinking in your mind. Should I kind of mess that up? So it's gonna have to be screwed up until I go to trim it, so that's okay though. Just wanna make sure that top isn't really... You really gotta make sure this is flat though. Sweet. Desk. Camera B. We probably do need to wedge some of this up. Sadly enough, I don't really want to... I don't want to do this. But I think this is what I gotta do. It's because I don't have another pot. I gotta make a fifth one. Maybe I just cut off a new chunk. When I think about it, that's probably the easiest thing to do. Where's my other box? There it is. I feel like I hate when you first start. Camera A. Camera A. When you first start, a bag seems to last forever, right? But the better and better I feel like you get, a bag feels like it's nothing. Okie dokie. How heavy is one bag? Each bag is 25 pounds. And so all the things I threw today were with that one bag. 25 pounds. have some stuff on the desk, you know what I mean? But so if I reclaim that, I could probably throw one more set. So I can get probably, if I didn't mess up at the beginning, I probably could get, if I was more efficient with my clay usage, I think I could get six water whistles from one bag. So that's 20 mugs. Yep, that's 20 mugs. Okay. 6 whistles. Okay. Zoom. Need to make a spreadsheet soon. Funny. Okay. Camera B. Close in. Make the pond. Water on the inside. Using 2 fingers. And my thumb is kind of pushing that down. Now I'm keeping those fingers hooked. I slowly. The smallest thing I've ever made. A friend of mine, he brought in, he's an older dude, he brought in this mini wheel. Probably the size of this wheel was was maybe 2 inches wide in diameter, and that's what the wheel that you threw off of. And the box container was probably about a 4x4 box and had a little speed lever on the side. And I think that on that thing is the smallest thing I made. It's a really cool wheel. Some guy like hand makes these small wheels out of wood. They're just really high quality. They're nice. Is that a real thing or a joke? Is it useful for anything? Like a joke product? Yeah, I think it's a real thing. I mean, the dude definitely spends a lot of time making them. How useful are they? Like, why you would need them? Not really. It seems like this guy just thought it was a really interesting idea, like mini wheels. And I can imagine, think about it this way. The size that you're looking at the screen right now, the size of this thing, doesn't change if I make it mini because I just zoom in, right? And so I feel like if you are trying to do some online thing and you don't want to have a really like upfront cost, and it's just about like the moving and manipulating of clay. If you made a small mini thing, you'd save so much on material. You'd probably produce a lot, and you would never have to buy clay. Does that kind of make sense? I feel like that's how I would use something like that. Not really for throwing, it's more of a novelty in that case. But still really cool object, right? Okay. And YouTube thinks I'm AFK again. Little finger. He gift you one of those? No, he showed me it. He was gifted it actually from the dude who makes these things, and he just wanted me to throw a pot with it because he thought I'd think it was interesting. It's a pretty amazing little device, I'll be honest. Maybe we'll do this. A little vibe shift for us. Okay. Wheel. Yeah, and I imagine, you know, not everybody is, then the shipping of a larger object's not going to survive and it's going to cost more. But imagine you make a whole entire little business that's all about making these little, like, making little pots, and then you actually send them out to your viewers. And they'd probably have a lot higher survival rate, and you can fire a bunch of them all in one. Glaze costs would be down by a whole bunch. I really think it's just a good idea. If I don't post for a year, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'll transition off to. Almost looks kind of like an apple. I had this idea that I'm going to try to figure out a way that I could do a thing where it's like I make a little mini thing for every subscriber. And then the whole point is that this is actually kind of a scummy idea. But the whole idea is that you just keep making small things and you have this counter and you just continue to make, right? And people are gonna think it's funny to like just subscribe just to make you have to make more, right? And so then you're gonna make more. There's a lot of really cool one-off ideas that I think people could do in the ceramics world, at least. Like, think about the dude who just like makes something and then destroys it right after, like, and he makes it like look like it's it's obviously like staged, you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole joke about it, I think, is that he puts that last one on there and then tumbles and he's like, dang man, come on, and then he just like makes it in it loops, and that's his whole thing, yo. Like, I feel like it's one of those types of ideas. So if anybody ever wants to do that, go for it. I feel like it would be, I think it would work too. You could get all these little mini pots. Oh, it cut out again. But you can't send out one thing for every subscriber, no? Yeah, I don't know how that would work necessarily. I think I'm just saying if I make another channel, that's the kind of idea I think I'd want to work on. There's something similar to like that. It'd be a separate thing from Pottery Demon if I was to do it. I still don't even know if I want the Pottery Demon thing to still exist. Like, I getting the idea that I just start a whole new channel and just leave this one alone until like another good idea comes to me. Because I feel like it's not really where I want it to be right now in regards to content. I guess I gotta take that off, huh? Okay. These little noodles. I actually think you could get some cool stuff. I didn't really want to make these noodles, but as soon as they started getting made, I was like, you know what, let's just check them out, you know. Looks fine to me. Alrighty. Camera B. Close in. Desk. So we got our little things right over there. Alright, I gotta get this kind of prepared here. Shelf. So let's see how I'm gonna, which one can I grab? This one? Alrighty, so they're connected, this tube, and so you tilt one to the other side, and that exchanging of water from this side to this side pushes air through a whistle that's gonna be on the top of this, right? So you kind of just take them and put them together. So that's how they work. So I have 5 of them in here. And I have one that's fired at one of the places I work. And that one worked. I tested it today, it worked. So I gotta make, you know, this is gonna, hopefully I can have, you know, I want to have maybe 12, so I'll make maybe 16 of them. box is to keep it wet, because I still need to put the whistles on the tops of them. Yeah. Wheel? Okay. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's it. Sweet. Camera A. Good evening, chili dogs. That was, we made a bunch of things. We made 5 vessels, 5 closed vessels, and 5 tubes. They're all gonna come together, and we're gonna put them together there, and we're gonna get more whistles, water whistles. And if you're just tuning in from this, you probably won't know what they look like, but that's okay, because you will soon enough. But I'll be finishing those off maybe tomorrow. I'll probably remove them, but I won't finish them and attach them all together until Friday. So Friday is when we're going to do that. We'll probably on Friday we will attach the little tubings together and then put handles on there. On the ones I just showed you guys, you didn't get to see the little, there's not a bridge handle or actual holding handle on these things. I realized that if I have zoom, okay, but if I have one handle in the back holding it and one on the top, it's really easy to tip them back and forth, right? Alright, thanks guys so much for watching. All the best and strong mentality. And I don't have it programmed, so pretend that was it. But yeah, it's gonna be cool seeing those things done. Oh wait. I feel like that looks funny. Like I'm a little rat. Alright, peace out y'all. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.